Welcome to College Towns. This is your host, Ryan Allen, and today I'm going to be talking about Gyeongui Forest Line Park in Seoul, South Korea. And this really is one of my favorite urban parks that I've ever been to personally. And I compare it favorably to that of the High Line in New York City, which I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with. And so the reason why I call this a high line is because I have sort of this definition here. And so any old rail development or redevelopment that they create into number two, a park here, and specifically a narrow park that number three runs through kind of the urban core or city center, I'm calling a high line. And it's sort of like with the idea of a band aid. A band aid is a specific brand, but you know what? Everybody just calls it a band aid. And that's how I'm going to go ahead and take this idea of a high line. So we're in Seoul, South Korea, with the location of this specific park. And you can see it's in the Mapo Yongsan area up here in the northwest part of Seoul, above the Hongik River. It's not in the more famous, maybe Gangnam area, but in the Yongsan Mapo area. The line was completed in 2016, and it was a long term project that really started in 2009. And it actually overlays on old railroad tracks, which date back to colonial Japanese construction in the area and a railroad in the area, which is really kind of a fascinating history in its own right. And here we are in Google Street View looking at what this space looked like in 2009. We can see this elevated rail track up here. If we kind of turn around, we can see the other side, and you'll just actually kind of see like an empty pit. This is actually what I remember the space looking like when I lived in Seoul, right around this time as well. And there wasn't a whole lot going on. Some construction was kind of started during this period, but it really changes when they start building this and they've completed this subway line that was underneath this space. And that's kind of the impetus. Okay, well, now what do we do on top? And you can see this was 2014, I believe, and you can see it's still kind of just a dirty area, not a lot going on. And there's high rises around, there's buildings around, businesses, and this is a really populated part of Seoul, a really popular area of Seoul. It's just kind of empty. I want to show you how popular this area is and what gets my attention because it is a college town or an area with several colleges and what I'm calling a college town. So if we look here, there's actually four universities, and if you add up all the students amongst them, it's almost 120,000 students that are living in this area. And here are the four campuses, and this makes it really lively area because they're all right here, a bunch of students living here. The first one I want to talk about is Hongik University, and this is kind of an arts and design institution. It actually provides the name of the bar district, Hongdae, that is really, really lively, really, really popular for drinking, bars, karaoke, all that kind of stuff. The next campus we'll look at is Sogang University. This is a smaller Catholic institution of around 11 or 12,000 students, but still held in really high regard in the area. Next, we have Ewha Womans University, and if we look below it, actually, you can see the label where the metro station is. It has its own metro station, and it's perhaps the most famous women's institution in the country. The campus is actually stunning, and people come here just to visit the campus and to take photos in this very area. In fact, I think they shut down campus sometimes because it gets too many tourists, but it really is a beautiful, stunning place. And even the area around campus has a lot of cafes, shops, things like that. And it's right next to the next university that I want to talk about. The last one is Yonsei University, and this is one of the top universities in the country. There's about 41,000 students who go here, and I was one of those students at one time. Yes, I'm a graduate from Yonsei University. I used to live in this area. So many fond memories. It really is a great place, and this area is just amazing. And we get these colleges all together, and then right in the middle of it, we have the park. So it's such an interesting vibe that you don't see this in every city because you have 100,000 young people living next to each other, and this park is just here waiting to be used, waiting to be utilized, and it's really fascinating. So let's go and have a look. And here we are on a bridge that can lead you over to the Forest Line Park. It actually goes over a metro station, which again, this is great about the park is that it's very well connected to several metro stations. And if we look over here, we can see the metro station. But let's keep on moving over to get into the park. Now here we are on a sky bridge. If we keep going this direction, we'll end up at Yonsei or Sinchon area. But let's go into the park. And here is the actual entrance. You can see people kind of waiting around, hanging out, people with umbrellas trying to block the sun. It was admittedly very hot that day. We can see these little rail lines, kind of, these are everywhere, and I think it's a nice little touch just to commemorate what was there before and to remind people that this gorgeous park was just kind of a wasted rail line. One of my favorite features of the line is you could just kind of peel off from the main park area and come right up to a coffee shop. There's no setbacks, nothing. It's just literally walk from the park right into this great little space. You can see people enjoying the day, enjoying the coffee, and this is just a really nice atmosphere. The same with this little bar here. You can see that they are eating Korean barbecue, drinking soju, drinking beer. This is an absolutely wonderful time, and definitely at night, definitely when it's a little bit cooler. This place, I can tell you, is rockin'. Then we can see that there's still more of this kind of commemoration aspect of being a former rail line. And we can see that actually the street interfaces with this park. Now, some people might not like that, but it does give it kind of a more of a city feeling or sort of being embedded right in the city, not just kind of a secondary aspect. So maybe that is the one drawback, that cars can kind of interface with the park itself, but they have added in bollards, they've added in this raised crosswalk, which I'm a big fan of, and it really does slow down the cars as they kind of come through the park. Of course, cars are usually a lot smaller there, and so drivers are a little bit more aware because they basically have to be in this space. Now, one of the great things about Seoul and Korea, not just this park, is that bathrooms are readily available. They're certainly available at this park. They're clean, they're easy, they're opened. And so that might be a juxtaposition from people coming from the US who are used to maybe the bathrooms being closed and things like that. Another feature are these kind of art galleries that are set up throughout the park. And so it's kind of nice, just local artists can utilize this space. And there's kind of some interesting installments when I was going, even one we're coming up to, it kind of shows some of the history of the space and the development of the park. So I thought that was also a nice touch. Again, it's kind of connecting with the artist feeling that is Hongdae or Hongik University. And so I think that's really important when you're building one of these parks or developing one of these parks. Make sure it's not just generic, but something related to the space. Keep moving forward in this linear park. We actually end up running into a mall. That's right, it goes right through this mall. This is connected right to the park, and so you can sort of go into AK Plaza. There's also a subway line here, which is really nice. But the mall was definitely very much a popular happening place. So the kids were really interested in going there for sure. But it's kind of cool. You don't actually have to go in the mall. You can pass right through it. There's kind of an undercarriage area. Just another thing too, I want to point out that it's maybe not the most bike friendly area. So that may be kind of a drawback for some people that might want to bike on here. Probably the Hangang River is going to be a better place for that. This is more right in the middle of the city. There's a lot of people walking around, not a lot of space for bikes, sorry to say. So you can actually peel off into the Hongdae bar area, which they've painted red and sort of added these bricks, and they call this the Red Road, and it's this broad district where it connects to different bar areas, outdoor concerts, markets, things like that. Really, really popular. And so it's nice that you're able to do that coming directly off the park, because this is one of the most popular areas really in Seoul, especially for young people. Just want to note that there were quite a bit of housing just all along the park. Now, these are high rises, and a lot of people are not going to like that. But either way, it still is a nice space for families to come from these housing down to walk their kids here. Even seniors were out just kind of walking around, hiking, things like that. It really did seem like a family livable space. Not necessarily a tourist attraction, although maybe that's because people don't quite know about it yet, but it really did feel like something that was a little bit more realistic than the High Line in New York for the locals. And that's kind of the end of the park. I kind of stopped my exploration right here. It keeps going on. There's kind of more of this stuff, but this was kind of the main area near the campuses. Confession time. I know that some people might complain that there is already a Seoul High Line. It's called Solo 7017 Sky Garden. This is what people are usually referring to when they say Seoul's High Line. And again, it looks like a nice place. It's over by Seoul Station. It's kind of more centrally located. I wanted to highlight something a little bit different in this college town I was familiar with. Now, the other part of this is the Gyeongui Line is sometimes called Yontrol Park, like Central Park in New York. I don't really see the connection or comparison other than maybe kind of for tourism reasons, but I do understand that that is what some people might call it. Again, I don't think it's really like Central Park. I think it's more just a second High Line that Seoul has, and a very nice one that's surrounded by a bunch of college students in the middle of this college town part of the city, which makes it so great. All right, so let's kind of wrap up. Why do I like the Gyeonggi Line Forest Park? It's narrow and compact, and so you really get a nice sense of space when you're in there. People always think you want this wide open, large park, and maybe in some cases you do, but I actually really like these kind of narrow, small types of parks. And it's also integrated with the broader network in Seoul, whether it's the Hongdae Red Road and all those bars and things that are over there, or really just the subway that you can sort of hop on and off and go to these different places. And then it feels more like a real life city rather than a tourist attraction. We have all those housing that are right next to it. There's those little sort of bars and coffee shops and things like that. Even saw like a pizza place over there. And so it really did not feel like a place that you just kind of go to just to see, but actually you go and you kind of live and you hang out, families, seniors, all types of people. And I just really like that for my park spaces. And then lastly, it's in Seoul's college town. And I know it's cliche for this page because that's literally what the page is called and that's what it's all about. But that's really what this is all about. We have these four great colleges, over 100,000 students. They're all right here. And in the middle of that, we have what I think can rival New York's High Line. What a great urban feature that I think a lot of you should just go check out. I mean, look at this space. It is beautiful. It is nice. And this is really just my homage to the Gyeongui Line Forest Park. Go check it out next time you're in Seoul. I do not think you will be disappointed. See you next time.